أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا بالقاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين وأصحابه المنتجبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسعد الله يومنا ويومكم بالميلاد السعيد لمولانا بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I thank you, and I'm indeed honored to be invited here into your presence and to share a few thoughts about this great man who has changed the fate and the destiny of mankind altogether, and feel humbled in your presence and humbled at the fact of being offered this opportunity to speak about this great individual that humanity has produced. Within humankind, as is the nature of the world at large, we are all evolving. We are all completing ourselves. We take birth in the cradle of weakness, and with the progression of life, we gain strength and remove our deficiencies. The story of an individual is the story of humanity at large. Humanity too took birth in the cradle of weakness, and ever since has been on a progressive trend of self-realization and completion. Today, even the words that we speak are not isolated words. They have a history as old as the history of mankind. Every word that I speak today is inevitably built upon what the first man spoke and the meaning that he gave to those words until it has reached me. And today, as me and you are here, we are a mere step in the journey of humankind towards its completion. And this is no different to any aspect of the creation in which we find ourselves. The world of God is an evolutionary world. Everything is growing. Everything is completing itself. Everything is breaking every frontier and boundary. Just as a fetus, once conceived, it begins its unidirectional journey towards completion. And after becoming, at the age of 40, when matter begins to decline and it yearns the earth from whence it has come, the spirit and the soul begins to stretch its embrace in order to arrive at God, the point of utmost completion. Now in this journey, nobody is spared. Everybody partakes in this journey. Even the great Abraham, we find so evidently taking on this journey within the Quran, that he is a prophet, then a messenger, then a close friend of God, and finally a leader of man. Inni ja'iluka linnasi imama. And we find this progressive trend in Abraham. Again in Musa salamullah alayhi, وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى لِمِيقَاتِنَا. When Moses came for our meeting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses Moses in a very particular way. However, when Moses falls and regains consciousness, he states, I am now a believer, tubtu ilayk. And thereafter Allah says, now I have chosen you for my message. We find an evolutionary trend in Musa, salamullah. But if there are people who defy the apparent motion towards completion, and they baffle the human mind, then they are Isa salamullah alayhi and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We do not find in these individuals any peak. It's a constant perfection. We don't find a moment of self-realization in these two individuals. We do not find that euphoric moment in which he says, now I understand. From the beginning of his life till the end, we find this man taking his decisions in such a complete manner. He is so focused. He is so righteous. Now this is something that baffles the minds altogether. With Isa, we understand his extraordinary circumstances. He is the Ruh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Spirit of God. The Immaculate Conception, we can expect that from Isa. But the Prophet of Islam is as human as any human. He is born within the confines of humanity, within the restrictions of time and space. He ought to have been influenced by his personal circumstances and his social circumstances. As an individual, he is an orphan, a yatim. He is an ajir, works for others. He is a faqir, a poor man. Any one of these three personal circumstances is able to cripple a person morally. Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi says, كاد الفقر أن يكون كفرا. Poverty is near to being disbelief. When we went to Iraq in the time of Saddam, we used to find little boys and girls begging on the streets. There was a point in which, when we went earlier on for the ziyarah of Abdullah, that if a morsel would fall from our mouths, an orphan would come and pick it up and consume it. At that point, those little boys and girls had no education. They were reduced to begging on the streets, and you could see that they lack in moral. The fault was not theirs, the fault was ours, because we did not see to their need. However, this is what poverty does. Poverty rids a human being of all sense of righteousness and morality. How can you expect a lengthy prayer with a tranquil heart from a person who yearns a morsel to feed his little dying children? It's not to be expected. Yet this man, he is as poor as anybody else. His morality is unequal by any reason. His social circumstances, the community in which he takes birth, is not an immoral community in the way me and you understand. Our sense of immorality is skewed altogether. For me and you, immorality is consumption of alcohol. Consumption of alcohol is at most the weakness of soul for somebody who understands in their faith system that alcohol is prohibited from being consumed, not for one whose faith allows them to consume alcohol. The real immorality, however, the real immorality is to watch humankind suffer and for the heart not to pain, to lose human consciousness. And greater than that, immorality is to create human tragedy and to reap benefits from human tragedy. When the flooding of Pakistan happened, most of us did not know how to channel our funds. You know why? Because we knew people over there would not allow the funds to be reached to the poor people. And then we knew that there were people who would create tragedy in order to benefit from tragedy. This is morality at its height. This is immorality at its height. When a person loses all value of humanity and creates human tragedy in order to reap from human tragedy. This was the peak of immorality in the time of Muhammad Rasulullah. For somebody to take birth in such an environment, an exploitive environment, in which there were fixed status quo, in which rich exploited the poor, in which poverty was seen as something that was destined, in which Allah and Al-Uzza were not two idols of stone and wood. As Ali ibn Abi Talib says in Nahj al-Balagha, these were corrupt social theological systems that people had created in the name of Allah and Al-Uzza. A person takes birth in that environment, my God, and is totally untouched by its corruption. Imagine a yatim, a faqir, an ajir, a person born in an environment of depravity, of immorality, of exploitation, and stands as the champion of human rights. Where have you seen such a man? A person who at the peak of his career stands at the inquest of Mecca upon a land that is 1,000,000 square miles. In his personal belonging is nothing. The day he was born, he had nothing. The day when he stands, arguably the most powerful person on the face of this earth, who single-handedly has acquired 1,000,000 square miles of land, stands on Mecca without possessing anything. He dies without leaving inheritance. Imagine. A person born within Arab superiority, a person born amongst the Arab who devalued the Ajam and the slaves at the conquest of Mecca. He sends a black slave upon the wall of the Kaaba, ceiling of the Kaaba, to call out the first adhan within Mecca. Do you know how important that position was back in the day? They were facing Mecca for the first time. They arrived in Mecca. He stands on top of the Kaaba. The Arabs shuddered at the thought of seeing a former slave on top of the Kaaba. And then when Bilal said, Ashadu, they said, Rasulullah, it's supposed to be Ashhadu, not Ashadu. Muhammad said, Bilal's seen is more loved by Allah than your best sheen, O Arabs. The whole understanding of righteousness, of morality is so different. Here is a black man who was a former slave, who calls out for the adhan, who stands in front of on top of the Kaaba. He says, henceforth there is no black, there is no white. There is no Arab, there is no Ajam. There is no distinction by color. There are no grudges upon anybody. Every man is equal. And then he proclaims something which is most phenomenal, a most universal human declaration that has not been heard on the face of this earth in the verse of the Quran. Ya ayyuhalladhina, O you, O people, we have created you from a man and a woman. It does not say Ya ayyuhal muslimun. It does not say Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. It says Ya ayyuhalladhina, Ya ayyuhan nas, sorry. O human people, we have created you from a man and a woman. So that by interaction you may know that the best among you is the one most God-conscious and most pure, and the one most focused towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not distinguish between a man nor a woman, black nor white, Arab nor Ajam, and I will go beyond. He is not distinguishing between a Muslim and a non-Muslim. This is how universal this man is. What brilliance is this? And look at him. Until now, the Orientalists used to claim that Muhammad spread Islam by the sword. Now they are revisiting their books and they're saying, no, had it spread by the sword, it would have crumbled with the sword like the Mongols. His faith was not spread by the sword. There is something else to him. And then when the Orientalists look at him, and the best way in which me and you, those who call ourselves Muslims, the best way we can study Muhammad is from the eyes of a non-Muslim. Their eyes are not biased nor plagued with faith. Faith plagues us and blinds us. Read with an objective mind. If there's a fault in this man, then bring it out. Why not? It is my journey to my God. There will be nobody with me but my Lord with me. The truth belongs to me at my human level. And the truth is my inheritance and my heritage. Today they say that Muhammad came to a people who were nomads, who were split in tribes, who used to take pride in warfare, who were fragmented, who had no confidence in themselves. A tribe within Arabia, knowing nothing beyond the shimmering sands of Arabia, nor their camels. You know, I normally say, when they say about September 11 that the Arabs flew into the big buildings, into the Twin Towers, I said, these people can't even change their television with a remote control. That's just a joke, by the way. They were faced by two towering empires, the Persian and the Roman. Muhammad came to them. My God, he did something with them. Within no time whatsoever, the Muslims arrive at such a height that both the Roman and the Persian empires appear dwarfed in front of them. He came to these nomadic people who were warring parties, superstitious people, did not know how to read nor write. Within no time whatsoever, he has contributed to a civilization that has moved the world forward in its historical progression. From people who do not read nor write, to the explorers of the mighty waves, to scientists, the fathers of the modern scientific methods. What did he do to them? When he stood at the conquest of Mecca, upon the earth of Mecca, there was a league of nations with him. Imagine. And do you know how many people had been killed in the whole of the career of this prophet? 230 or just over. And by the loss of 230 lives, he had united a whole nation. Imagine. As the Orientalists say, he came to a people who had no discipline. He leaves them introducing discipline even in the battlefield. They are fighting amongst their enemies, and the adhan is sounded, Hayya ala khairil amal. They leave the fight and they unite behind him in prayer. People who had no discipline to people who are utmost in their discipline. People who prided themselves in killing to people who have become altruistic and who are dying for each other. He came to people who had no confidence, to people who are now raining upon the mighty waves. From people who could not read or write, to people who are giving progression to the world in its intellectual achievement. What did he do? How can he have such success? And in mere 23 years, I often think to myself, to change the community is a difficult task. Even to introduce the slightest of change takes decades. In 23 years, this man has achieved such a success. How is it possible? Now, before we go there, and I will need your full attention, can we recite salawat, please? Now stop moving and stop fidgeting. I'm so sorry. I'm not the prophet, so I don't have his clemency with me, nor his mercy, nor his gentleness. Trying to follow him, but this is very important, so please listen. The Muslims have misunderstood this prophet altogether. The biggest enemy for the prophetic message has been the Muslim. Do you know why? Because they think they are the Muslims. They are the chosen ones. There is no such thing. And the prophet did not believe in anything like that. The prophet's understanding was totally different. He was within the trend of prophets. The prophets are human champions for humanity at large. Muhammad Rasulullah belongs to humanity. It belongs at the helm of humanity, and we will explain this in a minute. You see, he was as beautiful as his God was. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not white nor black. He is not a man nor a woman. He is not a child nor a grown-up. He is not a Jew, not a Christian, not a Hindu, not a Buddhist, not a Muslim. He is no religion, yet all religions call to him. Even those who flee from him arrive at him. There is no escape from the beauty of Allah. He is no gender, yet each gender depicts him equally. He was as untarnished as his God, as beautiful as his God, and as all-embracing as his God. Look at the way we think. If God has created 7 billion beautiful souls only to destroy them, what nonsense is this? If the Prophet had understood like this, then he went to Mecca, and Mecca was inhabited by people who buried their daughters, who killed people, who consumed alcohol, who were immoral. Yet he went to them and made them into the best of people. And me and you Muslims today are saying that Mahdi will come and kill everybody. How nonsensical is this? Mahdi is the crowning glory of the prophetic mission. Humanity as a whole will arrive at that beautiful pedestal of completion when Mahdi comes. The Muslims have got it wrong. There has only been one religion, and that religion has been submission to Allah, and that has been the human religion. Whether it represents itself as Judaism or Buddhism or Hinduism or Christianity or Islam, the formal Islam that me and you understand. These are all part and parcel of the beautiful Islam of the Prophet. Now, when the Prophet came to Medina, look at him. He wasn't like other revolutionaries and reformers. He immediately recited Surah Baqarah. And he stated, we believe in what has been revealed unto us and what has been revealed unto you. We believe in everything you know as well. How confident and beautiful is this soul. And then when Salman came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, what will become of my Christian brethren? The Prophet fell silent. The verse was revealed. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ هَادُوا وَالنَّصَارَى وَالسَّابِئِينَ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَا هُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Indeed, those who believe, the Jews, the Christians, the Sabians, amongst these groups, he puts them all on the same pedestal. Amongst these groups, whoever believes in Allah and in the final day and does righteous deeds, then they will have their reward with their God. And there will be no fear upon them, nor shall they grieve. Look at how pluralistic he was. The first constitution that he creates in Medina. And this was his ummah. Today the Muslims say, ummah means just Muslims. And some Muslims say, no, these part of Muslims are kafir, and this one says this part of Muslim are kafir, and this one says this part of Muslim are kafir. I'm saying, oh people, what's wrong with you? What nonsense is this? The Prophet of Islam did not call a Christian kafir and you're calling Muslims kafir? What nonsense is this? The Prophet of Islam did not call the Sabians kafir. The Sabians worship stars and sometimes idols. He did not call the Sabian kafir and said the Sabian will go into paradise. And you are giving hell to each other? How nonsensical are you, O people? Shame on us. To be honest with you, we don't deserve this Prophet. We really don't. He belongs to humanity, and humanity will make more use of him than we, the foolish Muslim. We have the book of Allah in front of us. We read it for sawab and in Ramadan. There is no guidance left in this book of God. We have the prime example, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Rasulullah, who was a point of unity for mankind, has become a point of divisiveness because of our nonsensical jahiliyyah tendencies that are now within Islam. How dare can a Muslim kill another human being by following Rasulullah? How dare? Rasulullah gave life to people in hell and brought them into paradise. How nonsensical is this? When he constructs his first constitution, do you know who the people of Medina are? There are few Muslims, Jews, maybe some Christians, and a majority of pagans who are not from the Abrahamic faith. They might have called themselves Hanafis, but they were following pagan rituals and rites. And he constructs a constitution. Go and look at the historical documents. And in that constitution, Muhammad Rasulullah states that this is the ummah and one body. He allowed the tribal customs to resolve tribal matters. And he brought in universal laws. Muhammad Rasulullah was both pluralistic and liberal. Imagine how broad-minded he was. In his Islam, the Christians and the Jews were respected. And soon after he died, the Hindus traded with the Muslims. There was no problem. The Islam of the Prophet was a human Islam, a universal Islam, a broad Islam, an Islam that is fit enough for the world, in which a Christian will remain a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, Hindu, a Hindu, secularist, a secularist, religious, a religious, and they will all be evolving towards their goal in their individualistic ways and manners. That's the only true world. How many of us are here in this room? 100? Odd? Or am I being optimistic? My jokes are not going well here, are they? Sarcastic comments. Each one of us are different from the other one sitting next to us. All of us are in our own world. I speak the same words, yet the point of reference in each mind is different in accordance with their own. There is nothing but individuality and relativity. No two people worship the same God. None of us worships the same God. Do you know this? Find two trees outside that are the same, identical. Find two apples that are the same, you will not. Find two blades of grass inside the garden that are the same, they aren't. Individuality prevails. There is no one path to Allah, as the Prophet has said. The numbers of paths to Allah are as many as the breaths that you breathe. He is my Rabb. He is your Rabb. He is your Rabb. This is what the Prophet understood. He had such a broad vision, such a universal individual. If his Islam were to be understood, it can give peace, harmony, blessing, progression, evolutionary growth to mankind as a whole. And that is the stage that his grandson Mahdi will represent. Now, what was it with the Prophet that has given him so much appeal as far as we are concerned? There are two things. One is his God-focusedness. He is so focused to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is such a supreme individual. We are proud that our humanity has reached such zenith and peak of completion in the form of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are proud. We are proud that our humanity reaches such completion through Muhammad. And we are embarrassed as well that our humanity falls at times through the likes of Pharaoh and others that we've had in the modern world. The Fara'id. But he was so focused. Now imagine a person who is so controlled. Imagine how much confidence we would have in him. To the core, he's a human being. To the core. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ. I am a bashar like you. But he is such a supreme individual. He was given an apple, sorry, not an apple, a fruit, by a visiting guest. And he was surrounded by the Sahaba. So he cut a slice and he bit it. Then he ate the slice. Then he cut the rest of the fruit and ate it all. And he said, thank you, may Allah bless you and increase you in your sustenance. When the gentleman went, the Sahaba said to him, oh Muhammad, it must have been a very nice tasting fruit. You ate it all. You didn't share it with us. This is what the Sahabas were thinking in their heads. You always share it, but this time you didn't share it. The Prophet looked at them and he said, no, it had very bad taste. I knew if I had given it to you, you would have made faces and made comments. And that would have hurt the heart of that man. And I did not want that injury upon his heart, nor did I want you to gain sins, and that's why I ate only fruit. Imagine a person who is so controlled even to that level. Imagine if at that level he's that controlled, that focused, to what level must his decision making be when it comes to statesmanship, if he is that focused. Two, people loved him. They gave their hearts away to him. He was a father of the people. The Prophet said, Ana wa Ali abawa hadhihi al-ummah. Me and Ali are the two fathers of this ummah. The only person after Muhammad Rasulullah to have such universality is Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is the one the Prophet made his brother in Medina. Nobody else. Yes? He is the one who took birth in the Kaaba. Nobody else. He is the one who married Fatima. Nobody else. He is the one who went and won Khaybar. Nobody else. So after Muhammad, it's Ali as the father of the Ummah. But imagine, people loved him so much like a father that they trusted him. In Surah Tawbah, the Munafiqeen mocked at him, the hypocrites, and they said, Huwa udhun. He's an ear. Do you know why? Because everybody would call, oh Muhammad, and he would listen to them. Do you know the biggest sickness of the modern world? We don't have time for each other. A simple phone call can make all the difference to the other person. Just a smile in the face of somebody is more than enough. The Quran says, him being an ear is good for you, he resolves your problems. But imagine, an old woman would come to him and say, Muhammad, a child would come to him. Does a statesman have time? A statesman like the caliber of Muhammad have time? Look at him. It's his beautiful humanity. 3. He liberated individuals by introducing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their life. And Allah became the focal, central point in their lives. People who used to fight for belongings are now able to let go. People who from the fear of death used to spend sleepless nights, now they say, oh Allah, it is from you. You give and you take. People who had no confidence, now they say, La quwwata illa billah. There is no strength but from Allah. When we say follow the example of Muhammad, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, it's not how he ate and how he drank. It is his inner attitude that he gave to the human beings. When he would face a lot of trouble, he would say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. When Ibrahim was taken from him, he would say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. When he would face a challenge, he would say, Tawakkaltu ala Allah. He said, when I have Allah to believe in, why do I need to spend sleepless nights? Today I carry so many burdens on my shoulders that I can't breathe. I'm constantly preoccupied with complexity in my mind. He came. He took them off the shoulders of the people and threw them away. وَيَضَعُ عَنْكُمْ أَغْلَالَكُمْ إِسْرَكُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ. He is the one who came and took the load of your shoulders and broke the shackles that shackled you. He liberated humanity. When he liberated them by making Allah the focal point in a loving way, caring way. Look at these people who are nomads of the desert. Now they are the scientists, the explorers, the world leaders, the poets, whatever else you want to call them. They acquire all type of beauty. And they become morally sound human individuals to the extent that Allah said, Kuntum khayru ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best of ummah that has ever been produced from mankind. There are 1 or 2 points I need to make. As the Orientalists say, he was Jesus without the church, Caesar without the legions. Jesus had a church in which he took birth. Muhammad did not have the church. And he creates such a massive religion. Caesar inherited the legions, the Roman legions. Muhammad came without any armies. And he created a most formidable group of people. Imagine. What a human being. What a human being. I want to say a few words here, which might be deemed as controversial, but please listen to them. But first, a hadith. It is said, when he was dying, he said to the angel of death, can you ease the pain? The angel said, this is the least amount of pain you will experience. He said to the angel, give me all the pains of every soul of my ummah that will come till the day of Qiyamah, so that nobody else has to feel this pain. He was like a caring mother. And when Fatima, when she saw him dying, look at his humility. She said, oh, the radiant face, for whose sake the heavens look upon the earth mercifully. O one through whom the heavens shower mercifully upon the earth. O one who is a custodian for the orphans, the widows and the old. What shall become of us after you have gone? He looked at Fatima and he said, these are the ashar of Abu Talib, don't recite them at me. Just recite this verse, مَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدْ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ. Muhammad is nothing but a messenger. Before him, messengers have gone. What if he dies or if he is killed, shall you turn back? Look at his humility. The man baffles the mind. He truly baffles the mind. His brilliance, his humanity, his God-focused, his love and care for all, his broad vision, his understanding of Islam. As the Orientalists say, today we need one Muhammad to bring about balance, stability, harmony, peace, and love within humanity at large. For he is the only one who is capable of doing this. Do you know why? Because he wasn't a Muslim like the way me and you are Muslims. Do you know that? Imagine. Imagine. Muhammad Rasulullah, he gave freedom to the Christians to be Christians. Yes? He gave freedom for political opposition. In Medina, when he had news of the oncoming army from Mecca, the battle of Uhud, he said to the people of Medina, I will stay in Medina and fight them. They said, no, we will go out. There is democracy here. So he went out, despite his better opinion, because the majority opinion was to go out. Look at his ways. And two, many people of Medina opposed him, so he said, fine, if you don't want to come with me, don't come. Today's Muslim governments, who do not allow minority rights, who do not have democracy, who do not allow political oppositions, please go and check yourselves. Where are you with Muhammad Rasulullah? What type of Islam is this? And at the end of the day, each one of you and this soul will breathe our last. Our days are numbered. And at that point in our graves, by Allah, our destiny awaits us. Me and you, even if we live 1,000 years, وَمَا هُوَ بِمُزَحْزِحِهِ, that 1,000 years will not save us from death. We are responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What world? This world, by Allah, I worship a God who, if I want, will give me the whole universe. Forget the kingdom of Sulaiman. I want the kingdom of the whole universe. But then I say to myself, oh Allah, I do not want your universe. I want you, the king of all kings, the light of all light, the love of all love. As our Hussein has said, Ma wajada man faqadak, wa ma faqada man wajadak. Oh Allah, what has he found, the one who has lost you? And what has he lost, the one who has found you? With this, we finish our talk and address. Thank you all so much for listening so patiently. May Allah bless us all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد